Greetings to the traditional religious and business leaders here present. Greetings to organized labor. Greetings to former SNDF General and patron of the Men's Parliament, General Monwabisi Jamangile, patron of the Men's Parliament, His Royal Highness Prince Nhlanganiso Zuluka Zwelithini, leaders of Sanak Men's Sector led by Mr. Byung Kailang, developmental partners, especially PEPFAR for South Africa and South African AIDS conference sites. Let me also appreciate the presence of the two young men who address us this morning. I hope they are still there. They are still here. Greetings to members of the media who are here with us. Ladies and gentlemen, Molweni, Kuyemore, Abshe, Tobela, Nda, Ndimasiar. Compatriots, it is once more again an honor to join you at this National Men's Parliament. Last year, we gathered on November the 19th to kick off the program of action to tackle violence against women and children. We are convening this meeting following International Men's Day, World AIDS Day, and 16 days of activism for no violence against women and children. I hope all of you participating in this Men's Parliament were involved in activities in your respective areas as engaged and responsible men. Compatriots, we remain committed to supporting all initiatives put forward by men's organizations to mitigate the impact of gender-based violence and femicide. Cases of gender-based violence and femicide are reported daily, including instances of young girls aged between 15 and 24 years who have tested HIV positive, while young boys of the same age are HIV negative. This raises a question: who infects these young girls? As we gather here as men today, let us also reflect on this issue and determine to deal with it decisively, because we all know that this happens because of grown-up men who are busy with young girls. Program directors, this Men's Parliament should be a meaningful platform for men to engage in conversations and reflect on their mindsets, ultimately becoming good role models for their communities. Compatriots and fellow delegates, we also encourage continued partnership with the Department of Basic Education, Department of Health, and others to ensure that boys are capacitated and supported. We know that some of our boys are already in initiation schools, as Nkosi Mavuso indicated that he's rushing home to deal with that. And we do trust that the requisite health screening and preventative measures have been taken to maximize the safety and protection of these young boys. We know Nkosi Mavuso said they have already lost 5 boys in the Eastern Cape. So we do want to emphasize once again that let us ensure that health measures are put in place to protect our children. Program directors, I welcome the newly elected SANAC's men's sector leadership and challenge all of us and the National Men's Forum to prepare a detailed report on the work accomplished since the last International Men's Day. This report should be in line with the upcoming launch of another program, or rather program of action, and a men's charter in the coming month, that will be next year. Compatriots and fellow delegates, on July the 19th, 2024, you appointed me as a patron, or rather your patron, alongside General Monwabisi Jamangile, Mr. Solinduku, Nkosi Mavuso, former Deputy Speaker Lechisa Tenodi, and Prince Nhlanganiso Zulukazwelti. Today we welcome the new appointees. We welcome Honorable DM Letsike and Deputy Chairperson of the NCOP, Honorable Les Govenda, who have joined us. Chairpersons, we agree that all resolutions from our consultations must be implemented, including that of appointing premiers in our provinces also as patrons. I'm very happy to announce that KZN has already done it. The Premier, Honorable Ntuli, is now the patron in KZN. So I call upon all other provinces to follow suit. Your recent initiative to unite all men's formations during the National Men's Lekgotla is commendable. With this work, society will take us seriously if we continue to work cohesively and not in silos. The Memorandum of Understanding signed by the SANAC's men's sector and the National Men's Forum of SADC must be translated into actionable frameworks at provincial and district levels to streamline men's responses. As the government, we understand your need for resources, a topic discussed at length last year, November, when we were at Hamasia Village, Collins Chabani Municipality in Limpopo. Compatriots and fellow delegates, developmental partners will readily engage with your member organization, especially if compliance and accountability are prioritized. The Deputy Minister of Social Development has expressed frustration over non-compliance among some of the groups. The Department of Social Development has previously supported your work through SANAC to ensure it is well coordinated. I do hope that this support is continuing. To receive continued support, the men's sector organization must ensure that all their records are up to date and that they comply with the requirements set by the partners. We must also join forces to bolster campaigns and networks aimed at combating violence against children. As a nation, we all bear witness to the unacceptable violence against children and must unite to protect our future generation, both boy children and girl children alike. My apology for that. Program directors, these gatherings are a prime example of how you can mobilize community support. When you first envisioned the National Men's Parliament under the theme Takuani Reime banner, you had a modest budget of only 38,000. The involvement of the former Deputy President and our current President at your launch at Constitutional Hill in Gauteng amplified the initiative visibly. It pleases me that Deputy Minister Steve Letsike was also present yesterday, I'm told. As a Deputy Minister responsible for people with disabilities and women and children in the Presidency, I'm happy that she's ensuring that also men with disabilities and also those from the LGBTQIA plus community are also included in this dialogue. Compatriots, we have agreed on the objective of this session. The objectives are as follows: to create a comprehensive social compact that unites all partners in a collaborative program focused on intensifying the fight against gender-based violence and femicide, while simultaneously launching the Men's Health Program of Action in partnership with PEFA and SANAC Civil Society Forum. Second, to engage stakeholders who interact directly or indirectly with men through formal and informal structures. These stakeholders were identified during the recent Accelerator 2 meeting, co-chaired by Minister of Health and PEFA, Ambassador Nkenkaso, on the 3rd of October this year. They included traditional and religious leaders as well. The transport industry, government departments, and youth movements were also included. As we are gathered here today, we are also endorsing a campaign called Better Men for Tomorrow. This campaign is aimed at bringing men back to care in partnership with the Minister of Health, SANAC Civil Society, and the men's formations at all levels. I'm happy that yesterday during your deliberation, I'm told that you did endorse this campaign fully, following its launch in Danzani, East London, on World AIDS Day last week, Sunday. I hope I'm correct, Chairperson. It has been endorsed. Thank you very much. Compatriots and fellow delegates, we urge you to continue your existing campaigns, such as No Excuse campaign, Men Campaigning for Change, Boys Assemblies, Sukuma Ndoda Sakhe, Act Now Against GBV, and the National Men's Walk. You also should also not lose sight of the work of the Takuani Reime initiative to ensure that we continue mobilizing men and boys beyond SANAC and government structures. Although efforts are at the foundational stages, we should not undermine the progress that is being made in communities. Progress that is being made in schools, but also workplaces. We still have a long way to go until we see a violent-free South Africa. But standing together, hand in hand, such a future is possible. Deputy Chairperson of the NCOP, this event must always take place under your leadership as the NCOP. We were talking earlier with the chairperson that he is concerned about funding, and we are going to discuss how we can ensure that we address this challenge so that there can be better funding for this program. But we also noted that President Kim Kun was saying earlier that this gathering should take place at the NCOP in Cape Town. That's where it should take place. We are not sure what happened, President, but we undertook with the chair, deputy chair, that we are going to look into it, because my initial program also was saying NCOP, and a few days later they said Paro Chambers. So I thought, oh, maybe it's because of the renovations, but it seems that's not the case. It's something else. We will look into it, because that's where we belong. Since we initiated this program in 2018 through the Deputy President Office, the NCOP has played a vital role in ensuring consistency and focus. The Men's Charter is scheduled to be launched in June 2025, and the Women's Caucus can assist our men's sector and structures in finalizing the Charter. Over the years, we have seen the influence of the Women's Caucus in Parliament, and we want to see this also amongst men. So I do hope that we agree that the women can help us, because they have done it before. Yes. With the launch of the Men's Charter, we must ensure that it is easily accessible and displayed in municipal buildings, police stations, government facilities, correctional centers, and NGO offices. This must be done to enforce the framework for a values and social norms approach to addressing gender inequality and its interface with social justice, education, the economy, social services, family and civic life, culture, religion, and the violence epidemic in South Africa. We need to unite men and boys across the country. As you organize the National Men's Walk in Gauteng and other regions, including Khayelitsha, we saw men committed to making a difference and ready to work towards ending the scourge of HIV by 2030. On Sunday in East London, hundreds of men stood side by side and raised their hands to play a part in achieving the 95-95-95 targets and paving the way for an HIV-free future in South Africa. We must reaffirm this position and make it our priority. Chairpersons, one of the issues raised as a matter of concern, particularly by the Minister of Health, there was that the second 95, that's where the challenge is, because people are not taking treatment. So it is important that we address that challenge to make sure that people who are diagnosed with HIV should be able to get their treatment and be able to stick to that treatment, because then we will be able to then reach the last 95 where the viral load is suppressed. We're doing very well on the first 95. I think the minister said we are at 96 already, and the last one we are at 94. But the second 95 we are at 79. So you can see where the problem is, and it needs to be addressed. And when I was there in East London, there was a group of people who marched there, and they raised the issue of they have a challenge of accessing treatment, particularly just getting their drugs regularly, because some places are very far and so on. And they said that they would like us to give them the drugs over a period of 6 months. The minister is looking into that matter as we speak. Compatriots and fellow delegates, some of the work that we continue to do in the sector cannot be possible without the support of our partners. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the City of Cape Town for their support in hosting us this weekend, the NCOP for their technical support, NACOSA, AFSA for helping assemble the sitting, and SEF8 for organizing the stakeholder engagement last night. Thank you also to Show Me Your Number and PEFA for their contribution to the Betterment for Tomorrow campaign. The data provided by the Minister of Health will help identify the men who need to be brought back to care and link that information with your framework so that you are better focused on the deliverables, particularly the implementation of your program of action. We are also happy to see the different sectors of SANAC collaborating and working together for a common good. Well done also to Comrade Mawetu Zita, who has ensured that Betterment for Tomorrow is inclusive and leaves no one behind. It is essential to keep the National Men's Forum of South Africa and SANAC Men's Sector united in order for us to implement our program successfully. We cannot afford to have our fragmented national men's, a fragmented national men's movement. So we urge that we all work together and collaborate. But let me also thank Mr. Mabalani for the presentation this morning. I think it was well received. Thank you for the presentation. We are looking to get involved in that campaign, all of us. Program directors, I look forward to hearing from the leadership about the strides made in the men's movement thus far in the next meeting that I will have with yourselves. We must be committed and strengthen our efforts in dealing with the scourge of violence in our communities. We must do this as a significant step to protect future generations and breaking the cycle of trauma and violence that have characterized our society for decades. But as we go forward, let us be encouraged by words from the father of our nation, President Nelson Mandela, when he said the following: "To be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others." This is really what must drive us in this work as we care about the freedom of others. Chairperson, as I conclude, I want to say that as the men of South Africa, let us therefore be committed to the freedom of all women, children, people with disabilities, the LGBTQIA+ community, and all other vulnerable groups. Let us rally other men towards this cause of gender equality, social justice, and freedom for all. May we preserve this path towards becoming better men for tomorrow. This is how we should live our lives. Better men for tomorrow. This will also help our young boys as they grow up. We want them to be better men for tomorrow. Program directors, with those few words, I want to thank you very much. Akhensa, Ria Leboga, Baya Danki, Inko.